Everybody, welcome to our week number 2 live stream. Sorry to be a few minutes late. I don't know if it was construction or an accident on the 118. My phone is repeating what I had to say. There was something going on the 118 and it took me forever to get home. I tried to post it while I was driving so that you wouldn't worry. Hopefully you saw my post that I'd be 15 minutes late. But let's jump in. I want to make sure I'm mindful of your time, but I also really want to go over what we have going on since we had week 1 and then we had spring break and now we're in week number 2. Can you all hear and see me okay? Is everything coming through all right on your end? If someone could give me a yes or a thumbs up, that'd be awesome. Everything looks good on my end, but just to make sure. I'll wait 1 second just to make sure here. And hopefully everything is fine. Okay, good. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. All right, so let's go ahead and go back over to Canvas here. And as I said, we had week number 1 and then we had spring break. So I hope you all had a nice, relaxing week off and a chance to kind of take a little bit of a break from everything. And we are still in our weeks 1 and 2 chunk. So everything from weeks 1 and 2 is due by this Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. So that's everything from week 1 and from week 2. So hopefully if you haven't started on it already, make sure you go back and do week number 1, which we talked about in our previous live stream. What I'm going to do today is focus on week number 2, since that is the week that we are currently in. So as a quick reminder, week 1, you had chapters 1 and 2 and discussions 1 and 2. For week number 2, we have chapters 3 and 4, discussions 3 and 4, and exam number 1. So that's what I want to focus on today to make sure you're feeling good about those materials. So as always, you'll want to do 3 things with each chapter. First, you're going to want to read the chapter on the Psyched ebook. Second, you're going to want to read through the lecture for each chapter. Make sure that you click on any videos that are in there, watch anything that I've given you. All of it will help you to understand the material. And then number 3, you'll want to watch the lecture video, which is me lecturing to some PowerPoint slides. So once you've read chapters 3 and 4 and you feel good about all that information, you can do discussions 3 and 4. So let's take a look at those together. For discussion 3, we're looking at biological psychology related to chapter 3. And as usual, you'll see my directions up here at the top, which will be the same every time. Don't forget to be really detailed in your responses. Think about them as like mini papers. The discussions all together are worth 15 points. So 13 for your responses to my questions and then 2 for your responses to a classmate. So really give me more rather than less, especially since you haven't received any grades for these yet. Always better to err on the side of a little bit more. When weeks 1 and 2 end on Sunday night, on Monday, I will be grading everything and you'll get your grades for the first 2 weeks. But since we haven't done that yet, again, make sure you're kind of elaborating and giving me lots of detail in your responses. Definitely watch the little videos. I'll always give you some tips and suggestions. And this one's all about biological psychology. So you're going to answer 4 questions. First, what are neurons and why are they important? So tell me what they are and why they're important. The biggest one here is number 2, referencing the specific chain of events and processes involved. Describe how neurons communicate with each other. And I'm really looking to see that you mention like electrochemical communication, that you talk about both sides of how they communicate. This is the one where people tend to lose points the most, so definitely elaborate in your responses there. Then you're going to read a short article. There's a couple of them actually, so you can kind of pick and choose. But these are about the 10% myth of the brain. And then I want you to answer these 2 questions about that. So describe the origins or beginnings of the myth, and then provide 2 reasons or pieces of evidence why we know that it is, in fact, false. So those are your 4 questions for discussion number 3. When you're ready, you'll hit reply. And then don't forget to also read through your classmates' responses and reply to one of them to get those 2 points of credit. Discussion number 4 is related to sensation and perception. So when you're ready, you can click on that. And again, as usual, you have my instructions followed by my video, all the same stuff as I just went over. And so for this one, you're reading a short article about smell memories and then doing a little experiment. And I hope that you enjoy doing this. I think it's kind of a fun thing to do. So you'll read through this little article and then in the video, I kind of showed you what I did for this experiment to help guide you. But you're going to read through the article, and then the first thing you'll do is gather a small sample of some items. And I said coffee beans, tea, cinnamon, chocolate, chapstick, a candle, grass or dirt, a flower, crayons, Play-Doh, some sort of fresh fruit or herb, and then you can pick a couple of things that you would like as well. But pick a couple of these common items and then whatever you might find interesting. And you're going to take a moment with each of those items, closing your eyes and kind of take them in. You're going to smell them and allow yourself to fully experience that smell. And then you're going to write a little bit about your experience with that and then what smell memories are and why they occur. So for question number 1, did you experience any intense memories or associations? Which items did you respond to the most, the least? Are there any other items that you would suggest or try? Number 2, and this one's worth the most points, what are smell memories and why do they occur? So I'm looking for you to really tell me not only what they are, but all the different processes that make them happen. So really elaborate on how those connections are made. What are the different brain structures that are part of it? What is the role of conditioning, for example, as well? And then finally, the last question is, how can you use the knowledge that there's a relationship between smell and memory in your personal life? So how could you use this information and apply it in some way? And again, when you're ready, you'll hit reply, and then you'll also reply to a classmate to get those 2 points. So we have those 2 discussions like usual. The one thing that is new that I want to spend the rest of our time talking about is we do have our first exam this week. And remember that the exams are on the ebook site. There were 75 points. And so I just want to kind of talk about, strategies for taking the exam, give you some tips, and also show you where the study guide is so that you can prepare. So you'll notice right here on Canvas, here's study guide number 1. So if you were to click on that, what that will bring up is a page with all of the terms for the chapters that are on the exam. So this exam is on chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you'll notice there are also 2 little diagrams that you'll need to be able to label for the test. So in general, what you can count on is if it's on the study guide, it will be on the exam. If it's not on the study guide, you don't need to worry about it. So anything that you see on here, make sure that you know it, that you understand it, you could answer questions about it. And I'll give you a tip here in a moment, but if it were me, I would probably write or type this out and have it in front of me. Completely up to you. But especially with the first exam, when you don't always know what to expect, always better to over-prepare a little bit. And when you're ready to take the exam, you'll notice that, again, if you go on the last page here, if you were to click here on exam 1, it'll remind you that all exams are on the ebook page, right? So really important that you go to the Psyched ebook. If you click here, it'll give you that link to sign in. And so once you've signed in, let me get there for you so you can see what I'm looking at. So we'll go to our page. And I have 2 sections of this, so I'm just going to pick one of them at random here. So let's do this one. And then what you'll see is that the exams are up here at the top of the page, right? So it says welcome, chapters, resources, and exams. So if you click on exams up here at the top, this is where you're going to take that first test. And here's where you took that mandatory orientation quiz. So just scroll down a little farther and you'll see the instructions for exams 1 through 4. And so a couple of instructions here. With every exam that you take in this class, you have 75 minutes. And you only get 1 attempt, so be ready and organized before you begin. Now, what I mean by ready and organized, a couple of suggestions. Make sure that you have 75 minutes. Make sure that you have a quiet place to take the test. Make sure that you have good internet, right? So set yourself up for success. Make sure you have all those things in place. Definitely don't wait till Sunday night to do this. It feels like the universe gets you when you wait to the last minute and your power will go out or the internet will go out. So please try and plan ahead and take it a little earlier if you can. Also make sure that you've studied and prepared. So you can use your notes and you can use your book on the exam. But I promise you that if you're trying to look up every answer, you're going to run out of time. And that is a little bit purposeful. I do want you to study and prepare like you would for an in-person test, but then you can have your notes there with you as a resource if you need them. So what I would do, and I'm one of those like meticulous students that wants to get 100% on everything, so just keep that in your mind. But what I would do is I would type out the entire study guide and have it in front of me during the test. And what that will ensure is that, let's say you don't know the answer to a question, rather than taking up valuable class time looking through the textbook and looking through the notes and looking through the lecture, you can just reference your study guide and you should be able to find it pretty easily. So definitely over prepare for the first exam. Consider having the study guide there. At the minimum, definitely complete it and know all the terms. The other big thing is you need to make sure you save your answers just like you did on the mandatory orientation quiz. Make sure that everything is like that orange gold color before you hit submit. And be really mindful of the time. You do have 75 minutes, which in my experience is plenty of time. On average, people take about an hour to take the test. But make sure that you're watching the clock. If you go over, it will stop you at wherever point you were at. So just be really mindful. If you don't know the answer to something, you can always skip it and come back to it. But definitely be mindful of your time. When you submit your exam, you will get a score instantly. It'll tell you which ones you got right and which ones you got wrong. Now, just like everything else, it won't come over to Canvas automatically. So on Monday, when I grade everything from the first 2 weeks, I will bring over all your scores. So don't panic if you don't see it in Canvas. It just, I haven't brought it over yet. But you can always find your grade here in the little temporary grade book on this site if you're worried and want to make sure that it's there. So that's where you'll take the exam. And again, if you forget and click on it here in Canvas, it will remind you. But that is obviously kind of a big point item, 75 points. So take some time, prepare, study, and all that kind of stuff. And don't forget to use the study guide. That's going to be a really big resource for you when it comes to preparing. There's also a couple of things on the ebook site, and these are totally optional. But if you click up on additional resources at the top, you'll notice that there's a couple things that might be helpful. So there's this chapter key term flashcards, if that's something you find helpful, little flashcards for the definitions. There's also a test yourself button. And what I did is I made a couple of things. There's one in this unit, the chapter 3 test yourself, that could be a little helpful. So you could always use that as an opportunity to review if you would like. Otherwise, just the exam on here whenever you're ready. And don't forget to also do discussions 3 and 4. I will post the recording of this later, of course, when we're done. It takes a little bit of time to upload it and download it, but I will post it for you. And I will give you that extra credit question in a moment. Also, don't forget if you haven't done week 1, it's still open. Everything from weeks 1 and 2 is due by this Sunday night. I'm going to put that here in the chat. Oh, maybe not. My phone doesn't want to load the chat for some reason. Let's see. All right. Nope, it's not going to let me. So I'll type it here in the chat. Why is it not letting me? So I'm going to say, remember that everything from week number 1 and number 2 is due by this Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so just be really mindful of that, and please remember, and I mentioned this previously and in the syllabus, but I don't accept late work. So if something comes up and you need an extension or you have an emergency and you need like another day, please make sure you reach out to me before the deadline. If you reach out to me before the deadline, I'm more than happy to work with you. If you reach out to me 1 minute after the deadline, I'm going to tell you I'm so sorry. So just please keep that in the back of your mind, that if you end up needing more time or something comes up, be sure to reach out to me early. A couple of other reminders for you. I typed this up earlier, so I'm just going to post it. Not very many of you have figured out the subscription piece, so if you have a chance to subscribe for free on Twitch, that would be amazing. It really saves me so much time, so I'm super grateful for those of you who took the time to do it. It also allows you to be watching this later as a recording and still answer the question for extra credit. So definitely some benefits to that. If you have a chance to figure it out, that would be really, really helpful. The other thing that I'd like to remind you of is if you're looking ahead, so I'm going to put this in the chat as well, our next live stream, sorry, for some reason the audio is not working on my phone, will be on Wednesday, April 9th at 11:45 a.m. Okay, so our next Twitch live stream will be next Wednesday at 11:45. I'm so sorry again for being a few minutes late today. That traffic or the construction or the accident, whatever it was on the 118 really kind of messed up my timing. The other thing I have for you, of course, is the extra credit. So let me copy and paste that into the chat. This is the week number 2 Twitch extra credit question. And the question for this week is something that will hopefully really help you with the discussion. So, what is meant by electrochemical communication? Describe both pieces of how neurons communicate with each other. So, what is meant by electrochemical communication? And describe both pieces of how neurons communicate with each other. Yeah, you were stuck on that too. Yeah, there was I don't know if it was just traffic or construction, but it took forever. It normally takes me 20 minutes to get home, and it took like 35. So, not fun for a Wednesday. But let me show you where you can answer that question if you'd like to answer that for the 2 points. Remember, you can either be joining me now live and put your name in the chat. Unless you're subscribed, then you don't need to. Or if you're watching this later as a recording and you're subscribed, you can still do this. So you'll go to week number 2 and click on optional Twitch extra credit number 2. And then up at the top, you can click on start assignment. And that will bring up the box where you can type your response to the question. And when you're done, you'll hit submit for your confetti burst and trophies, of course, why not? So you can do that all the way through Sunday night. Remember that everything from weeks 1 and 2 is due by this Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. And if you haven't done anything from last week, be sure to do it. Otherwise, we talked about the exam and the discussions. I know exams bring people a lot of anxiety, but you can use your notes in your book. Definitely prepare, set yourself up for success, and I would be thrilled if all of you did really well. I will never trick you on a test, and I'm really hoping that you do great. So I've given you all the tools to do well with the study guide. Just make sure you do study and prepare so you know everything on there. And as I mentioned, I will post a recording of this in a little bit. So what I'll do from here, and I was trying to be quick and mindful of your time since it was a little late, but I will hang out for a few minutes if you have any questions for me. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful week and that you're doing okay with transitioning back into classes after our break. Get going on everything from this week and last week. And I'm going to minimize my video, but I will hang out for a few minutes if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a wonderful week. Thank you all so much. I'm going to put that in the chat. Thank you all so much for joining me. And I hope you all have a great week and a great day. And again, I will hang out for a little bit if you have any questions. You too. Thank you so much. Stay warm. It was kind of cold today, right? Randomly. So take care of yourself. Stay warm. You too. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody. Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful week. And again, I'm still here if you do have any questions or anything at all. I'd be more than happy to help. And again, I am still here if you think of anything. Otherwise, you, of course, feel free to email me later.